Oh, hi on Milwaukee. How are you doing tonight? Happy Thursday. What a week it's been.
Cheers.
Cheers, Lori. How you doing tonight?
Cheers. I'm doing great. I figured out how to watch Fox. I have not watched commercial TV in so long.
Really?
I just binge watch things or watch movies. So that's kind of fun.
That's why you got to watch The Bachelor. So what are you drinking tonight, Lori? I see you have busted out the classic wine.
Yes. Some classic wine. How about you?
Well, what kind of wine? I know that there's types of wine.
So
I am drinking this. Go-Getters sent us a Happy Holidays wine.
Oh, that's on Milwaukee wine.
Yeah, Milwaukee wine.
California red blend.
It's a fusion California red blend from Windsor wine, and it's quite tasty. I'm enjoying it right now. Almost as much as I enjoyed Hell's Kitchen tonight.
What about that, Hell's Kitchen?
Transition. This is the first time we have recapped Hell's Kitchen, mainly because this is the first time there's been a huge Milwaukee kind of component of the show. One of the contestants on the show is Adam Pawlak of Egg and Flour here in Milwaukee.
And now ENF Pizza.
And yes, and ENF Pizza. Good point. Lori, is this your first time watching Hell's Kitchen, or have you been a fan before?
It is not my first time watching Hell's Kitchen, but it has been some time. I would say it's probably been 5 years, maybe.
This is the 19th season of Hell's Kitchen. So this is clearly
it was like slightly delayed. So I think it's been on TV for like 20 years.
Yeah, an important note for people who are watching along with us: do not Google Hell's Kitchen and don't go to the Wikipedia page for Hell's Kitchen, because since this already broadcast apparently in Britain, you will find spoilers. And that's no fun.
And that is no fun. And I would say, even if you're a person who likes to read the end of the book, just don't.
Yeah, and I'm luckily blessed with a bad memory, so I forgot everything I saw on the Wikipedia page, so it works out well. Let's talk first and foremost about the show itself, which I think it's actually really interesting about Hell's Kitchen, is that it does feel like an older age of food televiking.
It is an older stage. It is
it does feel it. You watch stuff like the internet, videos involving cooking and stuffing like that, and even Top Chef. It is a classic reality show. This is a broadcast reality show. So I wanted a little bit more of the food.
Yeah. You just catch little glimpses of the food and a little bit of critique, but definitely
personality first, which I think is interesting because Gordon Ramsay over the past several years does seem to have kind of tried to change. It does seem like he's evolved his personality. He now has a masterclass series of videos where he's talking to people in kitchens and helping them out. He has other shows where he's helping people renovate their restaurants and
kitchen makeover, restaurant makeover.
Yeah, Kitchen Nightmares first, but it seems like they moved away from that and made it more like about him going around helping people, rather than kind of the classic Chef Ramsay, like, oh, what are you doing? That was my British accent. That's why I don't act. And even like his personality, he's kind of taken on the Bourdain perspective of like, I used to be like the bad boy of cooking, and now I'm a little bit more, mature and grown up and thoughtful about how I approach things. And obviously, chef culture has changed since when Hell's Kitchen came out first originally. That the idea of like the loud, angry chef master is not really in vogue anymore.
Yes, if it ever was. I think that was even more a reflection of like the past, when you had the huge, like the yelling French chefs in the kitchen and the really militant like environment where like perfection was key, and I do think this show started out very much like that, with a lot of him yelling. Not typically in the first episode though, so I will be eager to see, having not seen this for a while, if his temper shows like later in the season.
Yeah, because he seemed very calm tonight. I mean, there were the classic kind of like disses and stuff like that, and the zingers and stuff like that. But it's a very flattering show to him too. He like shows up in a helicopter, and everyone's like, "My God, it's Gordon Ramsay!" And one of the prizes tonight was going out to dinner with Gordon Ramsay at a Gordon Ramsay restaurant. So Gordon Ramsay's doing well, is what I'm saying. Gordon Ramsay.
Which also gave me a kick, because it's like there's all these men chefs, because spoiler alert, the blue team, which is because this also seems very funny that they still pit the men against the women to start.
Yeah.
And then the men who win are all sitting there, but they're all like trying to find commonalities with Gordon Ramsay, like, oh, he grew up like, yeah, I relate to that. It's tough in the Bronx. Like, like I think that was Marco that was talking like that. And I'm just like, everybody wants to see themselves in the TV chef.
Yeah, I think the Irish guy is the only one that really can lay claim to having much in common with Gordon Ramsay. I feel like the two of them should meet up and talk about Nando's and stuff like that.
Declan, is that his name? Big D?
I think it's Declan.
Declan.
Yeah. We got a comment here from Carol Patura Maudie. As always, I apologize if I mispronounce anyone's name. Thank you for commenting. Thank you for watching. Enjoyed the final gist presentation. My friend and I had lunch at his Bayview location. So good. Also, if you haven't been to Egg and Flour, you should do that. Or ENF Pizza.
We should actually do that next week. We should have Egg and Flour while we watch.
Yeah, we should drink wine and eat. I like where your head's at, Lori. Fill me with carbs. I like where your head's at. But yeah, that's kind of the big aspect of this season is Adam. And Adam is not a side character this season. Adam is getting he's getting the full treatment. He is a character on the show, even beard first. Gordon Ramsay clearly loves his beard. It is clearly fascinating to him.
Yeah. Yes, that ZZ, like, I think in the first 5 minutes, he called him, "Hey, ZZ Top," right?
Yeah. And it's and he gets a lot of like shots of him. He's not a person on the show that he is like not present, No. He's not somebody who like, on The Bachelorette where like there's one contestant like episodes 5 in and you're like, oh, that person's here.
Who is that person? Yeah, what do they do? Right?
Yeah, like you're like, oh, Leslie was here the entire time. That's weird. But no, he's got a lot of time on the show. He definitely is going to be one of the characters they're pushing. He already starts drama, or at least is smack talking one of the chefs. Because after the big challenge, he and Declan, who are kind of teaming up as quality chefs. Yeah. I mean,
based on their high-scoring dishes, right?
Yeah, they finished very well. So therefore, the two of them are kind of making the like we're good chefs unit.
Yeah. He's also really setting himself up as like a heavy competitor, like with a lot of confidence, like the secret sniper.
He doesn't come off badly on the show. Like he comes off as a favorite. Yeah. Like the Cody guy comes off as a jerk. Like, the Cody guy is like, I'm really confident, and people don't like me because I'm just so confident. It's just because I'm so good at cooking, and also I'm really confident.
And everybody else is like, yeah, that Cody, he's just really cocky.
And it wasn't even that good. Like, if you're going to be talking that heavy, you better come packing some serious heat. And his dish was ugly. Apparently, it was good, but his dish was plated very strangely.
It wasn't that good. It was only a 3.
Yeah, it was not a. So for those who don't know how the show works, they divide the group into 2 teams, male and female. And tonight, they just kind of there were no eliminations tonight. And they had the 2 teams each. It seemed like they were going to cook their kind of.
They were all prepared to cook a signature dish.
Yeah, signature dish.
Competition, right?
And then Chef Ramsay is like, "Ha, I've tricked you again." And instead, it's kind of Chopped-esque, where they have them pull a gambling slot machine, and 2 chefs from rival teams get the same 3 ingredients, and they have to make a dish with those 3 ingredients.
Head to head.
Yeah. And
so they're very much a Vegas twist,
Yeah.
They're gambling on ingredients, and everybody prepared to do a signature dish is left out.
No one got anything crazy or anything like that. No one got anything that was like Skittles.
No, this show's not like that. But
no, in the case of Adam, he got lamb, mushrooms, and polenta. And he made what looked like a really tasty looking rack of lamb with I believe it was a black garlic polenta.
Black garlic polenta. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and we didn't get to see much. One of my bugaboos with the show is that I want my food show to show me more food.
Concentrating, you noticed like the first maybe 4 dishes that were, 8 dishes, but the first 4 groups to compete, like there was a lot more talking about their dishes. Also a little bit more like grit in terms of like, oh, is this good? Is this bad? A little bit more haranguing. And then they like sped through the last dishes. And it was like, well, Adam cooked this polenta. and Jordan cooked this lamb with other polenta. And he got a 3, and you're just like, well, but I want to see the food. Like, really?
Yeah, I did miss more food, like less of them goofing around in the pond in front of Caesar's Palace, more time on the food. But I know the first episodes of reality shows are always tricky.
Yeah.
You have established rules. You have to establish the characters. Mm-hmm. I mean, The Bachelor was the same way this week, where they were just trucking through people, and it's just like, I will not remember any of you. None of you will make an impact to me.
Yeah. And of course, nobody is getting kicked off here. We just have the men versus the women. Mm-hmm. The men won.
In a close match.
Lost, so they had to muck out the duck pond.
Yeah.
And
it was a close match. It was literally decided by a point. It was 20. He grades between 1 to 5 each dish, and each contestant adds to the final score. And the final score was 28-27. So, ladies, you should have made the extra point. We do have a comment here from Nicole Riley, an international comment. Nicole Riley, Adam, we are cheering you on from Ontario, Canada.
Hey, hello, Canada.
I will forgive you for the Toronto Raptors beating the Bucks in the playoffs, but just for now. But Adam, we didn't get to see much of his dish, but he did well. It was a well-cooked dish. We didn't get to hear much of Ramsay's thoughts on it, but he did call it a high 4, an upper end 4, which that's awesome. Mm-hmm. And he does show off in the kitchen where he's like, he says like, I've watched the show before. I've watched a lot of this show before, so I know the stuff he's looking out for. And you can see him kind of being a floor general in the kitchen and kind of telling people like,
kind of asking people how they're doing. That's so Midwestern nice of him.
Yeah. Less nice is later on, though, where he's talking smack about one of his rivals' dishes and not Kenneth's dish. I thought he was going to be talking smack about Kenneth, who got the lone one of the day, because he decided to cook his dish in approximately 5 minutes, it seems like.
15 minutes. They had, what, a half hour? 20 minutes?
I think they had a half hour.
I think they had a half hour, and within 15 minutes, he's like, got this dish. And he just keeps wiping off the plate over and over again. And you're like, isn't that by the time they judge?
Yeah, and first of all, the dish is going to be cold. But second of all, it didn't look good. Like, it was a bad-looking dish. Like, it looked like something I would make. It looked like me being like, take breast of chicken, throw into pan, cook pasta. Like, it didn't look like there was a lot of thought. It didn't look like there was a lot of interesting concepts going on in the dish. It just looked like a mess of chicken and carbs. And unsurprised, he finished very poorly and was ridiculed roundly by Gordon Ramsay.
I would say there's a lot of folks in this lineup who need to give a little bit more attention to presentation, because there were a lot of dishes that looked like the food I put on a plate when I cook at home, which is not presented for a photo or for, anybody, just for eating.
Yeah. I mean, there was the one woman who made, I think it was like scallops and pasta, and apparently the flavor was good, but you looked at it and it was just a mound of pasta. It looked like a communal dish. It was like a mound of pasta and like 4 scallops on top. It was just like, we need to tame down the serving sizes here. We need to settle.
Yes, let's make something closer. Not necessarily tweezer food, but something closer.
Yeah.
Something more impressive. Yeah.
But Adam does seem like he is off the bat one of the front runners, along with Declan, along with the chef from Chicago, who Adam points out at the beginning of the show. I know her food. I've cooked with her. She's a good chef. This is going to be tough. So I think those 3 are some contestants to look out for sure.
Well, and the third and the next one would be Marco, who was the last up and got the 5 that took the boys to the win. So
yeah, there is a part of me that wonders, like, if he got the 5 because it was like Gordon Ramsay wanted to deliver like the big, like, you won. No. I'll be interested to see how he does in other dishes that aren't maybe, prime time placement. I think, like I said, I think Adam's going to do very well. The person who isn't probably going to do very well is the guy he was making fun of at the end of the episode, who I forget what
that was the guy who made the rice. Was it?
I guess it was like a salmon. Salmon, you're right. It was.
That was Elliot, who comes in kind of tall, dark-haired, yeah, and he was pulsing the rice.
Yeah,
mix.
So he, instead of just making a tasty salmon dish, he thought outside the box and pulsed up the rice into a powder, essentially, to coat the salmon and create a crust. And even honestly, even a dum-dums like me about food was like, I'm not convinced rice is going to make the finest fry coating. Like, I don't know if rice powder is going to create exactly
rice flour. So there's something to this, because rice flour is what is typically in a gluten-free batter or crust.
Okay.
Because it actually crisps up much better than like regular flour. Mm-hmm. So if his goal was to create a rice flour to kind of create like a why am I blanking? Because it's late at night.
Yeah, like a bread fish.
Like a flour coating. Yeah. For the fish, that's maybe not so wrong-minded.
But it didn't look like he
had enough information about the dish for me to really.
It didn't look like he made a rice flour, though. It looked like he made kind of like a cracker crust out of it. I don't know.
It had a little bit more texture, but like I said, it didn't really reveal enough about the dish where you could really tell. But, and did he also get dinged because he didn't leave the skin on the salmon?
Yeah, which a lot of flavor there. It's like the skin on a potato or something like that. Like
the bones in meat. It's like anything else. Like you get a lot of good stuff there. So
to replace the skin with rice flour seems odd. It seems like an odd choice, because I can't imagine a rice flour is bringing a lot of flavor to the table. So you're removing flavor, and it didn't look like he was adding much to replace that.
Right.
So I can see why Adam was unimpressed. Though, like I said, I'm surprised he wasn't angrier at Kenneth, where it was like Kenneth finished his dish in 10 minutes and made a crap dish. That was not good. But there was a lot of that. There was the guy who didn't put salt on his pasta, or salt. He didn't put salt in his pasta, and as a result, it was not flavorful, unforgivable.
Yes, unforgivable. So, but then, I don't know. I think it was fun that they didn't get to cook what they wanted to cook.
I like that too.
Considering that, like, people did pretty well. I mean, they should be able to they didn't get weird ingredients. Everybody got kind of pretty common things.
No, it didn't go
weird combinations.
It didn't go chops where it was like you have to make pork chop, jelly beans, and durian. Where it's just like, at what point are these people even making edible dishes? I like food shows where the point is to make good food, not to kind of like the Cutthroat Kitchen thing on Food Network was always annoying to me. Where it was like, where it's like, oh, now you have to cook with, baby tools. And I'm just like, well, let these people cook, let them actually make something.
Actually, Susan makes a good point. I thought it would be more fun if they had to cook somebody else's signature dish.
What I thought they were setting up. I thought they were setting up that it was going to be like, oh, all those signature dishes sound great. Someone else is going to cook that.
Yeah, write them down on a little piece of paper in exchange.
Yeah, or like the lady was gonna make a vegetarian dish, ends up having to make a meat dish. Like I thought that was going to kind of be the twist of fate, the unlucky bounce, if you will, since it's Vegas. But it wasn't that way. Which I thought that was a fun twist, but it was fun. Any other thoughts on contestants? Any other thoughts on Adam's performance tonight? Like I said, I think we have a guy who's going to stick around for a bit. I don't think we got an early exit here.
Yeah, I do have to laugh because when we talk about his beard, and he, Gordon Ramsay kind of harangues him about the beard, but the beard has been a key through this whole thing, and I'm just sort of laughing because the beard is like its own character. Like when they put out like their advertising introducing all of the contestants for the season and who's on the blue team, right away they're like, can he cook, or are his cooking chops as big as his beard, or not. And I do think it's kind of funny because it's like I don't know the criteria for getting on the show, but they apparently needed somebody weird, right? I mean,
I like that, it's smart if you're Adam. If you want to get on a show like this, you got to bring a person out. You just can't show up and be like, I'm a good cook, put me on your show. Like they want people who are entertaining. They want people who are going to be personal.
Yeah, especially when it's a show like this where it's old school reality TV.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Susan is right. Like Adam is great. And I wonder how the blonde lady who has only been a chef for 2.5 years is going to do. Could be great, or could be a train wreck.
Yeah, I'm interested by her. There's some good characters on the show. I think she could be one of the underrated people because she did.
I feel like they're setting her up as a wild card.
Yeah,
with like overly talking about how little experience she has, and her admitting, like, kind of clipping that as her main thing.
And like cutting to her like unable to put the lid on the blender, and like she was like dropping stuff, and it was just like they're setting her up to be like, oh, what a goofus, but then she ended up getting the force, so she clearly knows what she's doing. So I think she could go secretly far as well. I think she would be a dark,
at least better than expected, because you saw the way they panned over the faces when she said, well, I'm relatively new at this, I haven't been in the kitchen very long, and all the people were like, all the grumpy executive chefs are like, well,
what do we think about Mary Lou? This is important. Mary Lou is definitely
Mary Lou's got the purple hair.
She does. She's also very easily confused. I don't know if she has the spatial recognition.
So I thought and it was interesting because one thing that sort of caught me is that they made a lot of fun of a lot of the women chefs. Now, that lead in sort of like I don't know, after they lost and everybody was just like fooling around in the fountain and all of that, it didn't help.
Yeah.
But it was sort of understanding they're going through, and all the women, from, Nikki, who was, kind of presenting herself as a newbie disaster, to like all of them. I think they managed to find shots of everybody looking like they didn't know what they were doing, and the Southern chef saying, oh, well, of course I can cook a pork chop.
She's like smugly like, in Kentucky, we know how to make pork chops. And he was like, your pork chop is dry.
Yeah. So like there was a lot of setups for failure there, which also tells me that there'll be a comeback and, they'll win. Yeah. Like the dudes will get all overconfident and the women will win.
Next week, I imagine the women will kick the guys' butts, and I'm looking forward to that because there are some dudes that do need to be taken down a stretch. Mainly Cody. Cody's a nightmare.
Cody's a nightmare.
And honestly,
is it Drew I don't know. He didn't show up very much, but whenever he showed up, he was complaining about something.
Yeah, I think I remember him. He seems very boring. He seems like one of those contestants who's going to be still there on week 5, and we're going to be like, oh, that's right. There's a guy named Drew here.
That guy. Yeah, like we don't know anything about him. What did he do?
No, yeah. he takes up space. But yeah, I think your big front runners for me, if I was a betting man, I would say they would be Declan, honestly, Adam, and the Chicago chef, the woman Chicago chef. I think they have been set up as kind of like the pros.
Is that Amber?
I think that's Amber. Yeah, who gets very harumphy at the ladies at the end of the episode because a bunch of them were having fun cleaning.
And she's taking this very, very seriously.
And she's like, I would not like to be here. I'm not having fun. This is a punishment.
Yeah. But that's interesting because that makes reality TV, is you always have the person who's like, I'm here to win,
Yeah.
But part of winning is always playing nice with people.
Mm-hmm.
Like you have to have that balance.
You can't be to make friends,
teamwork, kind of make it. Yeah. So anyway, we'll see how that goes.
Who are you kind of like, if you had to pick 3 people you're feeling like, if you had a like early good perspective?
I'm feeling pretty good about, definitely not about Cody. And Mark's the one with the man bun. I'm trying to remember who the guy is that I can't. Is it Drew?
The man bun?
No, Mark has a man bun. Yeah, I tried to write down things about people so I could remember their names, because honestly, this is 18, 20, I don't know. There's so many of them.
Yeah, it's that opening episode thing where it's just a barrage of people and personalities and competitions. And I got confused, honestly, in the first 5 minutes because they were like, we're in Las Vegas. Now we're going to go to Los Angeles. You get to win Lake Tahoe. And I'm just like, so where are we? I was very confused for a brief moment. And then I'm like, wait, we're on these teams? A lot of it was me not having watched the show before. But a lot of it is just the show only has an hour to introduce a ton of elements and a ton of people.
And we did not get a lot of, they did a pretty good job of introducing people. So you got like little snippets, but there wasn't a ton of super character development. So I don't know. I don't have a top much beyond kind of what you've pointed out. I feel like it's too early because I think the first episode, like typically for me, like, I don't know, you can get a 4 or 5 on all your dishes in the first episode. And when you get to like the 3rd or 4th episode is when people start falling apart because it's actually difficult. So I'm going to withhold that for a little bit because I kind of want to see more. I don't think it's going to be a matter of like, are you an executive chef? Are you a bigwig? Do you?
Yeah, there's 2 line
in the first episode.
Yeah, there's 2 line cooks. The one that we talked about who's only been cooking for 2.5 years. And then I think the other one was the guy who didn't season his pasta.
Yeah, and I'm trying to remember who that was.
It was like a name like Drew or something like that. It was like Drew.
Peter? Oh, it was the scallops people, right?
Yeah.
That's Josh.
That's Josh.
And he's kind of like, he glasses, blondish.
Yeah.
I
Doom.
don't have high hopes for Josh.
No, I don't think Josh will be with us.
Seasoning pasta is kind of like...
That's not like an airball thing. Like I get like leaving like a seasoning out of like a sauce or something like that, but forgetting salt with your pasta feels like a pretty like basic cooking to do.
It does. And I didn't pay attention to like how long or what his position was, but he should know better.
You should know better. I'm all drank up my glass of wine.
Did you by the way take anything from it's Marco. Like in the last scene or in one of the last scenes where they're on like the Ferris wheel.
Yeah, one of the prizes they get to ride the link.
And they're all talking about, setting themselves, like kind of setting up the competition and working together. And, there's all these comments about, Mark being like too energetic and, wanting to be
he's coming in hot. He's coming in hot and it's just like, guys, we need to work really hard. And I think if we work together and we communicate good, we're going to do really good. And everyone's like, thank you, Marco. Thank you, Marco.
I know. That didn't bother me as much as it seemed to bother all the dudes. So
yeah, he definitely seems like he will have a position of power, self-imposed power on the kitchen, and I will be interested to see how that goes for him. Because I mean, if this is like Top Chef, and you can tell me if this happens, if they get a chance to like explain dishes and stuff like that, and explain services, then that's when people are like, well, Marco was screwing up in the kitchen. And that's when, the people who are like very proudly like, I am the best at this are that's where they get tripped up, because they're like, I'm going to take a lot of power, because if we do well, I get all the credit. And it's like, well, then if you do bad, bum, bum, bum. Lori, any final thoughts on tonight's episode? Anything? Any other?
I was really glad that like Adam had a good presence. They had him talking like 3 or 4 times. Like I don't know that I necessarily think that they overlook Milwaukee characters and things like this, but sometimes they do. So yeah. It
would be a real bummer if, we were all excited about this show and his presence on the show, and if he was kind of a non-factor, it would be an also ran. Like I remember on The Bachelor a few seasons ago, one of the contestants was from Milwaukee, and I think she was gone the first night.
Yeah,
yeah, and I think she was barely in the edit of the show too. So it was just like, well, kind of a nothing there. Sorry, everybody. Seems like the opposite of that. He seems like he's cemented himself as a personality and as a good chef who's going to be there both for the personality and for his good cooking.
Yeah. I'm going to predict he makes it at least halfway through.
I won't go far enough as to say that I think he makes it to like the semifinals or like the final 4 or 5. But I'm
going to go somewhere in there.
I have been known to have a curse.
How many episodes are there?
I do not know. If there's 18 contestants, I imagine it's about 10 episodes, maybe.
Let's see. I think there's more than that.
Yeah, 12 maybe. So it's probably 3 months worth, I would imagine.
Yeah.
So I think he'll go far, but then again, I've been known for my curse on these reality shows, where every time I pick somebody, they are immediately kicked off the show. So Adam, I'm so sorry if you got kicked off next week.
Okay, so I don't have that because I've not predicted things about shows yet. So I would predict he's going to get at least halfway, if not further.
All right,
let's make it further.
Yeah, we'll let you make the predictions, and I will keep my thoughts to myself so I don't.
And honestly, like this already ran, like it already finished. The season's already done in Britain, so it's not like it's live. We can't really hurt the outcome.
I mean, I feel like I could. I feel like I have the ear of fate, and the ear of fate always mishears me. It's the worst game of telephone. We will be doing this every Thursday night at 8:10. Join us right here on Milwaukee's Facebook page. We'll be talking about Hell's Kitchen, who we liked, who we didn't like, and how Milwaukee's own Adam Pawlak is doing. So make sure to tune in with us.
Tell us what you think. Ask questions.
Let us know in the comments what you're making of the show.
And bring your wine so that we're not alone drinking wine. I mean, you can be alone drinking wine with The Bachelor. I don't blame you for that. But
I do with all the it's great. I highly recommend drinking alone.
I highly recommend drinking alone when you're watching The Bachelor.
Yeah, I recommend just drinking when watching The Bachelor. And we will have a little recap of this tomorrow, where we will written one where I will tell you how Adam did. And a few little mini quick opinions on the episode. It's not going to be a big read, just some quick takes on the show and what we've seen so far of an episode. And like I said, join in every Thursday night, and we'll keep talking about this, and hopefully Adam will keep giving us something to talk about. I imagine we'll talk about this through the finale, no matter how far Adam goes.
I'm imagining, and I'm imagining that by that time, I don't know wherever that will be, that we'll have lots of opinions about all the people who are left. Because I will say, there's been a good number of times in the past watching Hell's Kitchen where the people I liked all get kicked off. I mean, like maybe somebody wins who you're like, okay, maybe technically they're qualified, but but okay, another interesting thing that I'll point out is they're like 19 seasons. And I think so there's always men and women in equal number, and only 6 women have won, I think, through the entire time. So only 6 men have won?
Yeah.
Oh, wait, I got this backwards. Are you sure?
Yeah.
All right. So the odds are stacked.
Body voice.
Paul is here. It's probably good. I've had a long day, so me getting things backwards, like, not surprising. No, so apparently only 6 men have won.
You thought something shady was going on, Lily.
The for the girls here, which is interesting considering, we're going to root for the dude.
Yeah. And important to note, Adam, if you are watching, feel free to join us on these recaps. We'd love to talk with you.
Yeah. I told him we were going to bring him on later, after we have enough time to chat about him, because we texted a little bit the other day.
Okay, good. Because I insist on asking him questions about the show. I have many as a reality show person who enjoys the behind and in scenes.
So you can look forward to that. We'll surprise you, which means you have to watch every week, just in case.
Yeah, it's my job. I've been mandated to do it, Lori.
Anyway,
we're having fun. And it's been a fun show so far. So, and like I said, make sure to tune in next week, 8:10, right here on Milwaukee's Facebook page. Bring your wine, bring your appetite. I'm going to go back to this this bowl of booyah that I've got going right now.
Booyah.
Booyah.
This is getting to be like a long Wisconsin goodbye.
It's a very long Wisconsin goodbye. And can we just point out the disembodied wine glass now popping into the frame?
That's Paul. That's
Paul. Congratulations of these recaps. I demand the disembodied voice of Paul always joining us.
Always a little wine glass in the corner.
Yeah, he can be our little fact check every episode.
He should be my fact checker for sure.
Fellow wine buddy. Thank you all, everybody who's watched tonight. Make sure to stay tuned for more Facebook Lives. We do The Bachelor on Monday nights. Join for that. And we do a bunch of fun stuff on Facebook Live. So join us here. And make sure to read on Milwaukee.com. Lori writes a bunch of really good stuff. And I write a bunch of silly stuff. I write a lot of silly stuff, but that silly stuff can sometimes be fun. And I think we could all use more silly stuff. Considering the week we've had.
This is going to get sillier, I can tell.
Lori, we have bottles of wine.
We do.
It's not going to get less drunk.
I'm going to start drinking sooner next time. So, all right. Stay tuned, guys.
Bye, everybody.